Well, hello again. Sometimes I think back on books that I've written before. I've mentioned far too many times, probably, my latest, A Promise to Die For. But I was thinking lately of the one I put out before this. This one I had to publish myself, The Goddess Martin Dayson. And I kind of been thinking about it, thinking of those characters, thinking of that story, reliving it just a little bit. And so I'm going to read a bit from that. It's about a man who has lost his reelection for governor in 58 here in Oregon. And this is at 1959. He lost because his wife left him. And back then, that would be the end of your political career. Not so much now. He has bought himself a little home in a tiny, tiny town pushed up against the Oregon Coast Range, and there he's licking his wounds and being a grump. There's a young woman who keeps passing through his property at the back of it, and he tries to get out there and yell at her to stop trespassing, but he can never catch up to her in time. But over time, they come to know each other a little bit. And in fact, it's a help to both of them. They've both got their own secrets, their own deep troubles. And to some degree, they really are an aid to each other. And they have she's 19, he's 62, and they have a most peculiar love bond between them. She always thinks he's an old fuddy-duddy, a phrase of his that she doesn't understand, but she kind of gets. And so she's always trying to bring him into the modern world, tell him he lives in the past. She wants to live in the future. And so she's come over to his house with a record that Joan Baez, who was brand new back then, and a little something extra. He doesn't care much for the music. Well, there's wait. I get so many people in that closet. I hardly know what to make of it. Anybody else left back there? I guess not. Well, let me read. There's a way to help you go deeper into the music, make it go deeper into you. She was looking directly into his eyes, searching his face. Yeah, what's that? Biting her lips, she reached into the pocket of her blue jeans. Her eyes still holding his, her own expression a singular mix of daring and uncertainty. She pulled out the bit of tinfoil she had hidden in her pocket the other day and carefully unwrapped it. Dayson squinted at the contents. A cigarette you smoke? She made no answer but continued to look at him with that ineffable smile. You even roll your loan, he said with a laugh. What are you, some kind of cowboy? Even as he spoke, though, the truth dawned on him, and his laugh went hollow. Well, it's not a cigarette, she said, at least not a regular one. He tried to hide his shock behind a mask of gruffness. What's a girl like you doing taking stuff like that? It's not a pill, just something to relax you, make your soul feel larger. My soul fits fine, thank you, and I don't need some slip of a girl to do what, he wondered. What are you, some kind of beatnik? With a laugh, she reached up and plucked at his beard. I was going to ask you the same thing. Dayson knew he should act offended, but couldn't help but laugh. Does your aunt know about this? The joy left her face. Be quiet about her. You know nothing about her. He looked at the cigarette she'd taken from its bit of tinfoil. A couple of friends had tried the stuff in college and told him it would do them no harm, leaving him with a vague curiosity, but he'd never thought he would be in a position to say yes or no. He saw the dare in her eyes. He knew that if he didn't accept her challenge, something important between them would be lost. Okay, he grumped, trying to cover his uncertainty. But you have to promise never to tell anyone about this. She laughed. Even if I'm called up in front of a Senate committee? Especially if. It's a promise, she whispered. She put the cigarette in her mouth, retrieved a match from her pocket, and struck it with an impressive flick of her fingernail. The anticipation sent a shiver of expectation through Dayson, so much like when he'd been a kid taking his first drink or running a trembling hand over the thigh of his first girlfriend. He struggled with the temptation of thinking youth was something mutable, a state he could regain. She took a deep breath of the marijuana and passed it to him. Like Macbeth, gazing at the dagger hovering before his eyes, he eyed it warily. She expelled a stream of smoke with a laugh. "You're afraid," she declared with a mocking smile. "Afraid? I landed at Saipan, Okinawa. But you're afraid of this. Here, take it quick before it goes out." Frowning, he inhaled the sharp tasting smoke as she had, held it in his lungs for a few seconds, and passed it back to her before going into a coughing fit that has left his eyes watering. "Not exactly a Marlboro filter," he choked. Maddie indicated they should smoke it in turns. Dayson had to chuckle that such an outlaw act should possess an established etiquette. For the next few minutes, they silently passed the smoke back and forth, each exchanging, laying down a growing layer of intimacy. As she turned the record over, she asked, "What do you think? Do you feel anything?" "A runny nose." "That's it?" "So this is marijuana and folk singers," Dayson harumphed. "I'll stick to Scotch and Sinatra." Her expression wavered between disappointment and skepticism. "Nothing at all?" "Nothing at all." Dayson sat back and folded his hands over his belly. "But I might have been wrong about the music. It's fascinating. And maybe you could pass me one of those cookies. Actually, how about a couple of them?" "What's so funny?" "Nothing at all," she said. So that's The Goddess and Martin Dayson. Uh, you can find it on Amazon or maybe a couple of other places if you're interested, or you can get it from my website. Sorry to push things on you, but as I said, I needed to revisit those people. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.